Scientifically speaking, we're sharing the view. From labs to clinics, breakthrough shining through. With minds that inspire and stories to unfold. Scientifically speaking, the future's being told.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Scientifically Speaking with Christine, وعلميا مع Christine on Oz Arab Media. Today our topic is about the power of stretching and flexibility with a very special guest, Jane-Mary Chedraoui. Jane-Mary is a certified stretching coach dedicated to helping people unlock their body's full potential. Certified by the National Academy of Sports Medicine, Jane-Mary combines science, techniques, and a personalized approach to help clients improve mobility, reduce stiffness, enhance posture, and relieve chronic tension. Jane-Mary, welcome to our show.
Hello, thank you so much, Christine, for having me.
Of course, anytime. Jane-Mary, I'm gonna start by asking a question that is a little bit personal. Just being a certified stretching coach, what inspired you to specialize in flexibility and movement?
Actually, I was a dancer since I was 3 years old, and always the movement was always my passion. How the muscles move, how your body reacts to falls, to movement, to contractions, to anything. I was really passionate into that. And then I had a best friend who had scoliosis, and without me knowing, I was fixing her stretching routine to adapt to her case. So her physical therapist was actually very interested, and he's the one that got me interested in this field. And I remember one sentence he gave me that stuck with me ever since. He told me that you have the passion, you need knowledge. And the passion is the hardest part of the job.
That's true.
So everyone can get knowledge. And that's how it all started.
Amazing. What a very inspiring story to start with. Now tell me, a lot of people focus on strength and on cardio, but usually stretching is just overlooked, right? But how important it is for overall health?
Unfortunately, you're right. Sometimes it gets overlooked. I'd like to think of the body as that you have to give it everything. As a stretching instructor, I never advise someone to just stick to stretching because you have to give your body a little bit of everything. You cannot just be flexible. You cannot just be strong. You cannot just be working on high intensity workouts. You need a little bit of everything to keep your body healthy. So I do think that especially people who work on cardio and like strength and stuff, they need stretching the most. So, because if you're staying neutral, it's fine, you can survive. Right. But if you're focusing on something that's strength, you need to balance it out with some stretching. So, yeah, I think that's it.
Amazing. I'm sure that stretching is not only about, touching your toes, getting down there and getting up, but what are some of the key benefits of regular stretching that people might not be aware of that you can tell us about?
So stretching is a lot of things. You have so many types of stretchings. You have the stretching that's dynamic, that's specifically for warm-up. Okay. You have stretching that's specific for flexibility. You have stretching that's good for posture and rehab. So any part of stretching will help you in the way you want it. So if you want to increase flexibility, that's one. If you want to fix your posture, that's two. If you're recovering from an injury, and you finished your physical therapy, you need stretching to go back into normal, basic movement and range of motion. So it's basically about what you need, and stretching can help with that.
That's interesting to know there's a menu of stretching and flexibility. You did mention dynamic stretching, and we have heard before about static stretching. If you can please tell us what's the difference between the two, and when is it supposed to be used, each of them?
100%. So we have static stretching and dynamic. They are the most major parts of stretching, and they are both very effective if you use them in the right place. So basically, dynamic stretching is usually in the warm-up part of a workout. So that's why you need your muscles to be ready for movement, ready to be contracting and stretching very fast. So it's better to do it in the beginning, whereas static stretching is basically where you hold the movement. So any movement that is held for so long in a relaxing way-ish, because it
Yeah.
sometimes gets tiring. Yeah, but we usually use it at the end. That's where flexibility happens. So if you want to increase
Okay.
flexibility, we go for static.
That is very interesting. I will dig in deeply later about when to warm up and when, to increase flexibility and if we can do so. But stretching is one of the main things that people say you gotta do it to relieve pain, to go for posture. It's stress relieving. Is that true? Like, can actually flexibility and stretching do the chronic pain, the posture, and even stress?
100%. As I told you before, we have so
Right.
many types of stretching. So
Yeah.
if you want to focus on posture, we can use different types of stretching in one session. And that's when we let the muscle increase its range of motion. So it's back to its natural posture, and then we can strengthen it there. So the muscle is ready to hold the position for so long. We work on the resistance and the tension of the muscles together, and that's how you fix a posture. And as for relieving pain, we use static and PNF techniques. That way the
Okay.
muscle gets to relax and the blood flows more. So that way the muscles, if we want to talk scientifically,
That's
the
true.
muscle with the blood circulation that's healthier now is going to
Right.
receive everything it needs to function and recover normally.
Amazing. Well, speaking about tension and stress, nowadays we rely a lot on sitting in our desks through work and looking at our screens. And this is something really hectic nowadays that happens. Tell me, what are some simple stretches that people can do on daily basis to prevent stiffness and tension?
Okay, so as you mentioned before, it is a flexing era. Everyone's sitting on their desks, sitting in their
Yeah.
cars, driving. So let's talk three movements. I'm gonna give you three major muscles to focus on.
Right.
It's the hip flexor, which is located in the forward side of the hip.
Okay.
So when you stretch this one, you can easily put it back to normal, because that's the muscle that's gonna be flexing all the time when you're sitting, and mainly you're not using it. So stretching it would be really helpful for the lower back. We also have the glutes muscles, because when you're sitting, you're just letting them relax all day.
Yeah,
So
they get numb even sometimes.
activating them
Yeah.
would be very helpful. Your body would be very thankful for you.
Amazing.
And of course, the shoulder stretches, just to fix that posture when you're sitting and you're like
Yeah,
hollowing
need
all
to
day. You just go back into a neutral zone.
Amazing. The very informative information, which I would like to dig in the future, hopefully, if not today, another time.
Of course.
Please tell me, usually people think that they are naturally flexible or naturally inflexible. Is it possible that we can improve flexibility to someone who thinks they are inflexible? And if so, how does it work, or how long does it take to become a flexible person?
So I'd like to think of the body as something that always needs work. So if you're born inflexible, there are so many things you can do, no matter what your age is, or gender, or
Right.
even field. So if you're a basketball player, even if you're a dancer, or someone who sits at their desk, you should be stretching your body, because flexibility and is used in a very wrong way. So there's a healthy range of motion that everyone needs to have. You don't need to do the splits.
Okay.
You don't need to have this as a goal.
Yeah.
That's not just flexibility. But everyone needs a healthy range of motion. Range of motion is basically how the muscle moves. What's the range of the movement
Right.
your joint or muscle have? So everyone needs this healthy range of motion. So if you're born inflexible, I urge you to stretch at least 10 minutes a day,
Wow.
or 40 minutes every week, once or twice a week. You should do that for your body. And if you're born flexible, there's even more work to do, and that's the
To
misconception.
maintain it, right?
To maintain
Yeah.
it and make it healthy, because if you have good flexibility and you're very flexible but you don't have control over it, we have a question mark here. It's a red flag. You need to be in control of your flexibility.
That's
know?
interesting. And how long does it take to go from inflexible to flexible person? In a day, it can happen in hours, in months. What do you think?
You can definitely feel the progress in a few sessions, but to see progress, to see it in your daily movement, not just after the session. I think 3 months is where you hit and you start the progress, and it can range from 3 months to a year, depending on the
Right.
person, the age, the gender, their lifestyle, and everything. Everything's
Involved in it. That is true. People who are new to stretching, what are some common mistakes to avoid?
Oh wow, that's my era.
Tell us more about it.
So, one, pain. A lot of people think that if you're not feeling the pain of stretch, you're not stretching.
Oh.
And that's where I struggle.
That's
with
me
people.
mainly. Like if I'm not sore the next day, it doesn't mean I did some work.
No, pain is really not good because
Okay.
your body sees stretching as a threat, especially if you're not used to stretching.
Right.
So I'm going to give you an example. If someone's falling, the thing that's happening is your muscles stretching because you're falling.
That's true.
So the muscles are going to contract to it. And that's how injuries happen. So when you're stretching is at a point where the muscle is in pain, that's where the body is going to see it as a threat, and it's going to do everything it can to stop it
threat,
from
yeah.
happening. So that's not what we want. We want the body to help us stretch, not act against us.
That's true.
So one, avoid being in pain. It's very good to differentiate between the feeling of stretching and the feeling of pain. So we want it to be in a stretching zone.
Right.
So that's the first mistake. And the second one is, I'm going to say overdoing it.
Okay.
That's also a thing. So when you hold a static stretch for so long, people think that's good for them.
But how do you know you're overdoing a stretch?
Okay, so one, we want the muscles to always be awake. That's what I'm going to use. That's the word I'm going to use
Okay.
specifically. So if you hold a muscle to a point where you can't get out of it anymore,
Okay.
so the muscle is asleep in the position,
Like you're stuck or you're in a I don't know what
Yeah,
in
you
a
know,
click.
it
How
gets
do
to
you
a
say it?
point. It gets to a point where you're sitting, so the muscle got numb of the position.
Okay.
So when you try to get up, you feel like, oh my god, how can I get out of this?
Yeah.
I think that's bad. We don't want
Alright,
that.
Okay.
And yeah, I think mainly that's it.
These
If you
are
focus
the
on
two.
this, you're
Yeah.
safe. There are a lot of things to focus on, but let's stick to that.
Let's stick to that. Of course, athletes and fitness lovers usually add stretching to their training, right? How does flexibility enhance performance and reduce the risk of injury for those people to add them?
Okay, so as we say, stretching gives you range of motion and mobility.
Right.
So if I want to say that just naturally and in a way everyone can understand it, the more you're ready to move in a bigger zone, the more a fall doesn't risk you being injured too much.
Right.
So for example, if my hand can just go this far, if I fall that way, I'm gonna break my arm.
Oh.
So when I get my muscle ready to move already to a zone that's safer, yeah,
It won't be called an injury by then.
exactly. You will be injured. You can be injured. I'm
Right.
not saying you will
Yeah.
not be injured, but the risk of injury,
Is
you won't be
less.
as sensitive to a fall or a sudden movement as much as someone who's not flexible or not training in the zone. Yeah.
That is interesting. What are the best stretches for people who run or lift weights or do high intensity? Because you said each one of those has a different type of stretching, right? So if you can give us a little for each, what are the best stretches to be done?
Okay, first I'm gonna give one to all of them.
Right.
I'm gonna say mobility for these people. So they need to really warm up. The warm up in these cases are really important. So as we spoke about dynamic stretching
Right.
in the beginning of their workouts for their joints. So the ankles, especially for the running people,
Right.
you need to warm up your ankles in a good mobility routine, and the shoulders, of course. And when you finish the workout, so running people need to stretch their hamstrings and calves, especially, and they can go deeper into hip flexors and quads.
These are the main points of
Yes.
injury, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
and these are the most muscles that are gonna contract during the workout. So you need to stretch them after. That's one. What were the other two people?
Of course, lift weights.
Yeah.
and maybe high intensity workouts.
Okay.
Because we see a lot of people in the gym just, doing the workout. And they do have definitely stretching at the beginning or warm-ups. Is it the same at the running people?
The warm up for the people who work with strengths and lifting and stuff, I think they should warm up with the exercise. So I see people, they train muscle group by muscle group. So if you're working on your upper body, you need to activate the muscle that you are using. So I recommend to go through the moves you are going to go through later with your workout, to go with them without weights at the beginning as a warm up. That way, the joint that you're gonna be using and the muscles that you're gonna be using are gonna be ready for the move, and then you can make it harder and add all of the weights you want and go into it.
It's just like not traumatizing the muscle before it starts the heavy work.
100%.
I'm starting to learn. There you go. Okay, amazing. How does this assisted stretching, like the one you offer, is different from traditional self-stretching?
Wow. Assisted stretching is on a roll these days. Everyone is really interested into it.
Yeah, to be honest, I know a lot of personal trainers, but stretching assists are new to our community, let's say. So how is this helpful than us doing it alone?
It's actually very different, but yet equally beneficial. So I would offer assisted stretching for anyone who's both an athlete or not even close to being an athlete, who's not really interested in the activity lifestyle. So because when you relax and let your muscle be stretched, you're working on a different type of flexibility and relaxation. So you're gonna have an increased range of motion, just maybe not as much as working it on your own. So
is it because we don't know our muscles as much as you professionals do?
No, actually, that's not it. It helps you feel your muscles. That's
Right.
100%. And it's safer because if you don't know how you move, we can make sure everything's centered
Right.
and you're doing it the right way. That's true. But I do think that when you're having an assisted stretching, it's actually really hard. And it's harder than you think because when you're on that table and you're trusting someone with your body,
True.
that's very hard on your brain. You think it's just, I'm just gonna sleep and let them stretch me. Some people have this trust level,
Right.
but some people get really tense, like, oh my God, how can I trust you? How can I trust that you're not gonna push me too far?
That's true.
You know, but it's gonna help your mobility in a very good way. It's also gonna help the blood circulation. It's very good for recovery. And if you do the right techniques with assisted stretching, you can also increase flexibility.
That's very informative. You did mention that stretching is very important to start a workout. And so I'm not going to ask you if that is true or not, because that's a myth that people usually think of. I don't have to do the stretching. I'm already ready. I walked to the gym already. Why do I need to do it now, But you did prove to us with this little talk today that it is important to just not traumatize the muscle. So if you can please tell us, is stretching really making our muscles longer, or is there another mechanism happening there? Making it longer, or just reminding the body, let's just start the workout now?
Okay, so let's start with a fun fact.
Fair.
If you see me standing up, you'd see that you won't get longer.
I wish
I've been stretching
I
for my
would
whole
have
life.
taken off the heels long time ago, right?
100%. So that's one.
Yeah.
The feeling of feeling the muscle elongated is because the muscle is relaxed. So every muscle mechanism is about contracting and relaxing. So that's very normal. Everyone has this mechanism at play. You are born with this mechanism. The mechanism of contracting and relaxing the muscle, which is elongating the muscle.
Yeah.
But stretching is how to make that movement, one, smoother, so to move in a more smooth way.
Right.
And second, you can make it stretch more, so you have a bigger range of motion. But the muscle in its own is not gonna be
Stretched out. Yeah.
It's
It's gonna be more
Free.
resilient.
Free.
Oh, free. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. Amazing. Look, this was a very, very informative topic, let me tell you, and new somehow to this generation. How can our listeners know more about you and the coaching that you do? If they want to have some personal questions, where can they find you?
Basically, I'm right now on Instagram.
Right.
My account's name is Jane.E.ch. You can mention it.
True.
And they can go on my Instagram. It's still a page of everything. I just moved here to Australia. I'm still new. I had a page when I was in Lebanon. It was called Goosebumps, but I'm gonna find something else for Australia. For right now, I'm using my personal account to share everything about stretching and my life, of course. So let's stick to that.
Amazing. Do you do personal sessions or one-on-one sessions? If you do we come to you or do you come to us?
So right now, I do offer assisted stretching at Stretch Lab, Parramatta.
Right.
So you can find me there.
True.
And I do offer different types of stretching as well. I do go to you if you want. Yeah.
Amazing. That has been a very big pleasure to have you on Scientifically Speaking. And I am looking forward to hopefully see you again in many other episodes to talk more and dig in. Because I'm not a gym person, but I would like to stretch out. Maybe some chronic topics we'd like to speak about. So thank you so much for this very informative little session and hope to see you again on Scientifically Speaking.
Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure talking to you. I really look forward for the next time.
Of course, thank you so much. As we mentioned, Jane-Mary is new to Australia, but not new to our homes and to the topics that we talk. You can find her in Parramatta or on her Instagram. She can come to you, we can go to her. And thank you for keeping touch with Scientifically Speaking with Christine on Oz Arab Media. See you next time.
See you.
Ya.